Hi, welcome to Mom to Mom. My name is Rayanne, and I'm part of the Mom to Mom ministry team here at ABC. Whether this is your first time tuning in or you've come to Mom before, we're glad you're here. We do meet in person the first Thursday of every month from September to May, both in the mornings and the evenings. We'd love to have you join us. We hope you enjoy the teaching you're about to hear. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I know I play a lot of those Holderness videos, but that one hit a little too close to home. So for those of you who have babies, you might be like, why is everybody laughing? But you'll get there, and I know you can relate because I think it's relatable for all ages, but it's hit a little too close to home. So that's why we showed that one again this month. How y'all doing? Good. It's good to be up here with you guys. I just wanted to take some time to kind of end our year and talk a little bit about what summer habits and rhythms might look like, because for a lot of us, summer is a different schedule, a different rhythm. A lot of our kids who are normally in school are not in school, and so things change a little bit. And I remember feeling like things changed even when I had little babies at home and they weren't necessarily in school. There was still something about the summer that felt different than the school year. And so that's what we're going to be talking about this morning, and we'll have time to discuss some stuff around the tables and then also to collaborate with one another this morning so we can kind of get some groupthink going on. So before we jump into the summer, just to give you guys, let's talk a little bit more about habits and rhythms, just to kind of put a bookend on this year. We've been talking a lot about how we become the women and the moms that we want to be. And so if I want to be a mom who is patient and kind, I need to have some habits and rhythms in my life that will help me in that way. In the same way that if I wanted to be a runner, I would have to start by having habits and rhythms of actually running. And maybe it would start off slow and short runs, and maybe that would happen once a week, but as I would build up to it, that once a week run might get a little longer, a little faster, and then I would do it twice a week, and then I would do it 3 times a week. That kind of idea that what we do shapes who we are. And so we're taking that idea and making it applicable to our role as moms, to our character as women, that what we do shapes who we are. And as we kind of look at our life, we can be strategic and intentional with how we want to be and what we want to become. We've been talking a lot about the habits of the household book. Raise your hand if you have the book and you've read the book, even just a little bit of it, just to get a survey. So a lot of us have read the book and have maybe even thumbed through it if you haven't made it all the way through. But that book really is so helpful in so many tangible ways to give ideas for how to do the same concept, habits and rhythms, for our kids. And we've been doing the light the candle at dinner. So whenever we have a family dinner together with my kids, we'll do the candle lighting and we'll say, Christ is light. And it's just one very small, tangible thing that I hope is going to remind my kids that we center on Christ, we focus on Christ. And it's just a small regular rhythm that we do as a reminder. And I'm hopeful that when they get older and when they're having, even when they're in college and they're having these moments where they get to sit down at a table eating with other people, that they'll remember that Christ is light and that they can take that nugget of truth with them as they go about their day. So we've been talking a lot about those things all this year. And now we find ourselves on the cusp of summer. And so for me, as a highly structured person, in terms of just how I think about my time, I like to think about it in very structured ways. It doesn't mean I'm a good time manager, but I at least try to think about it that way. The summer feels a little bit intimidating because the structures that I rely on, like school and just some of the other normal structures throughout the year, are going away, and it's up to me to create the structure, right? So we don't go into summer necessarily with no structure at all, because there might be some things that we know we're going to do, some rhythms that we can rely on. But for the most part, we are responsible for those rhythms. And For me, that feels a little intimidating because I don't know exactly how that's going to all fit with my other responsibilities. This is only the second summer that I've had where I have sort of work responsibilities that change throughout the summer, but it's still there. Some of us, I know, work from home. Some of us work outside of the home, and so there's different structures that you guys will have with your kids. And some of you are home with your kids, and you are completely dependent on your own selves to make that structure. For some of you, you might love that. It might be exciting, like our sweet friend Lisa Spears, who I'm going to bring up here in just a little bit, not yet. She loves to be able to give herself her own structure and feel the freedom and almost build in spontaneity. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But for me, it feels a little more daunting to face this summer. So that's why we're going to talk through this morning, because I know we're all in lots of different places. Some of you are excited, and some of you are kind of dreading the summertime. For this summer, I have 3 sort of guiding principles that I'm filtering through my habits and rhythms. Things that I want to keep on the forefront of my mind, and so that I can find habits and rhythms that fit underneath these 3 guiding principles. And so I'm going to share that with you this morning. The first one is to design discipleship moments. That's what I want my habits and rhythms this summer to do, to design discipleship moments. And that means that I want to create habits and rhythms that are going to be strategic in bringing up conversation with my kids. For context, my kids are 12, 10, 8, and 8. So you might not have kids in that age range. And so a lot of the practical things you might not feel like is something that you can do. That's why we're all going to talk later about all of our different stages of life. And so some things are going to be helpful that I share, and some might be like, maybe later, and some will be like, my kids are too old for that. So just know that I know we're not all the same as me, right? So I want to design discipleship moments. One of the things that I've been thinking through, since I normally have a Tuesday morning Bible study to go to, and I have a Bible study that I'm going through, this summer we take a break for the Tuesday morning study, and I don't have that homework responsibility. And so I'm going to read a summer reading plan through Scripture with my 12-year-old. So she has a device that she uses, and she loves to use the YouVersion app. I don't love to read the Bible on the YouVersion app, and I don't always love to do plans on the YouVersion app, even though they're really, really helpful. But for the summertime, I figured it would be a great way for me to connect with her as we read through something together. Some of the plans that she has done with my mom, actually, sometimes she'll pick a summer plan or whatever season it is, and there's the reading plan, but then after you finish your daily reading for the day, how many of you guys have the YouVersion app? Okay, so you guys, have you done the plans? You know what I'm talking about, right? So you have the daily reading, then sometimes there's a devotional, and sometimes the plans don't have that. But then there's a part where you can add observation comments and things about what you've read. And it's really cool to see what my 12-year-old will put on there as her observations. And sometimes I'll chuckle because it feels like whatever the observation that she has is clearly only a head knowledge, and it hasn't yet transferred to her actions. But we all do that probably. So it's a good way for me to design discipleship moments with her, to have those connections and to talk about what we've both read. Even though it's not something that I normally do throughout the school year, it's one thing that I'm planning to do this summer. Because of the ages of my kids, we get a Ravine season pass for the summer. They like going to the water park, so we're going to do that this summer. And we live in south of Atascadero, so it's about a 25-minute drive. It's not that bad, but because it is a decent amount, and because on the way home from the Ravine, all of us are like so tired. We've been in the sun all day. I'm going to be strategic about what we are going to be listening to. So sometimes we'll listen to an audio drama. The kids are really into this one particular one, sort of like Adventures in Odyssey. Did you guys grow up as church kids? Like, I grew up listening to Adventures in Odyssey. It's a little cheesy, but it's also, like, they love it. My 12-year-old, not as much. She's getting to that point, but she's also go with the flow enough that it's fine if we listen to stuff like that. she'd prefer Harry Potter, but we'll be listening to some more of these audio dramas that kind of have a little more strategic message, and then something we can talk about, like what do you think the characters did in that moment or whatever. So that's one example of something that I'm using to design discipleship moments. So I can't recommend it because I just found out that it's from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I can't recommend it. But Adventures in Odyssey is a great one. I was like, I should probably look up who puts this kids podcast that I'm listening to and going to recommend. Oh no, I can't recommend it. Nothing in the podcast has come up that's different, and I don't know enough about that faith to know. Sorry. Okay, my second guiding principle is to do the hard thing. I like to be a chill mom. I would love it if my kids just like got along and I didn't have to discipline, but turns out that's not a perfect world, and my kids aren't perfect, and I'm not perfect either. And so we have lots of disciplinary issues. And so instead of getting in the mindset of, I'm just gonna chill this summer, we're just gonna lay around by the ravine and hang out and it's going to be great and everyone's going to be happy with each other, I need to really lean in to do the hard thing. And so sometimes that means I'm going to need to lean into discipline a little bit more than I would like. And I want them to just figure out their own problems and work their own problems out, which there is a time and a place for. But sometimes I let that go on a little too long. So a lot of you I know can relate to the thought that sometimes I have when it feels like things are just getting a little bit out of control in my house. Everyone's bickering, people aren't respecting and honoring one another. The kids aren't responding immediately to when I tell them to do something, and it just is, sometimes it gets so overwhelming, and whenever that happens, I kind of realize, oh, I've been slacking off on actually enforcing some of the rules and the boundaries that we have in our house that we want to implement, and I've just gotten lazy. And so then it takes a little bit more effort to double down on some of those things. So for this summer, because I like to trick myself into thinking summer is like a time off, I'm telling myself and reminding myself I need to lean in and do the hard thing and don't be a lazy mom. And my third kind of principle or this framework that I'm using to think about my habits and rhythms this summer is to be present. And so that means that a lot of these habits and rhythms I have might be centered around some of my own habits with my devices, with my phone. Didn't you love it? I don't know if you caught the very beginning of that video when she's like just staring at her phone, like, guys, get off your phones, get off your screens, it's so bad for you. And she's like staring right at her phone. So I'm putting in some habits and rhythms with my phone that are a little different than the habits and rhythms I have throughout the normal school year to help me stay present with my kids. That means putting it in a drawer during the day, and so it's not always just out on the counter, because I find myself grabbing it even when there's no reason to, because it's there and it has this sort of like Lord of the Rings ring pull to it. Right? Like I feel like this thing, no. I just open it up and do those things. So I want to keep my phone in the drawer. I have strict rules with my phone. It has a bedtime and a wake time. And so a lot of times if you'll text me, sometimes even after 8 p.m., it's not that I'm necessarily asleep, but my phone goes to bed at 8, 8:30, sometimes 9. It depends on the rhythm for that week. But for the summer, I'm going to be a little bit more strict about my phone bedtime and wake times. I'm going to just take a break from social media for the summer, because I kind of go in and out of taking breaks and being engaged on social media. I don't think it's a terrible thing all the time, but summer just feels appropriate for me. So those are just some of the things that I'm doing to be present with my kids during the summer. So those are kind of the framework that I'm looking at my habits and rhythms for: design discipleship moments, do the hard thing, and be present. So now we're going to talk a little bit more collaboratively, and I'm going to invite Lisa to come up here, and she's going to share with us as we chat sort of as an interview style about how she approaches the summer and some of her habits and rhythms for the summer. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I love that you got me up here about talking about summer.
Yeah, because you're like my
It's
summer
favorite.
girl.
I know, I love summer. I love summer. With kids, I never pictured myself like, oh, someday we'll like drop off at school. Like, I don't even think that occurred to me. But I always picture this like on the beach, wind in our hair. And so summer is my time,
So Lisa, how do you summer?
Okay, so I didn't really, you prompted me, and I thought, I don't know, I just summer. But I got my pen and paper out, and I guess I do have like a summer ideology. So it probably stems from just the fact I feel like it's such precious time. And I feel like the older my kids get, the more precious it feels. So especially once they start school, you just have this little time. So I just find myself being more intentional with our time and what we choose to do. So, yeah.
Okay. What kinds of structure do you create in the summertime? So we talk a lot about how the structure, that we rely on during the school year is gone. What kind of structure do you create for your summer, and how does that kind of give you life?
Yeah, so I feel like our family mantra, or maybe it's mine, and I just say it's my family's, but we work hard, play hard, rest hard, and you're probably gonna die. But summertime, I try to get off the schedule and just get rid of many of those weekly commitments we can. And so many of them naturally go away with summer, but just really being intentional. I feel like, especially this time when you see summer ahead and it seems like so much time, you think, oh, we can do this and we can do that and that, but it goes by so fast. So just really being like, okay, what are we going to use our time with? And hang on, I put some notes. So I am like a chronic yeser. Like, it's so easy for me to say yes to things, but
Is that why you're up here right now?
I know. I'm learning to say no. I'm getting better. But one quote that I feel like there's two of those mom quotes that really stick with me, and this is one. Every yes is a no to something else, and that really. I feel like if I say no to something, I have this big, long story and apologetic, but just learning to say no, and sometimes that's summer, and what are we going to use our time with? Okay, and then the other part of that is rest, and not necessarily rest like I'm taking a nap, but maybe just rest out of this busy season that we're in, and I feel like as moms, so often we wear this like badge of busyness, like it's a badge of honor, because it really straight is. I don't know what it is about momness. It's so busy, but I feel like we don't treat rest as the same like rest of, it's like a badge of honor to have rest. It's like, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? But it just seems like being busy, it's so natural as moms, but I feel like you kind of miss that time for building relationships, having just deeper moments with your kids. And, like that video was so good, how she's in the car yelling, this is me all the time. I'm like, get your shoes, the car's moving, we're running away. So I think just taking a pause on that and just creating those moments where you can have that time. And one thing that I really, like one sweet moment I look back at this year is my kids had a field trip to Monterey Bay Aquarium, and we were gonna carpool with people and had like family time. Anyways, at the last moment, it was just me and my kids that drove up, and it was this really busy day where we did all this fun stuff and we were friends and dinners, and I look back on that day, and the sweetest time was our trip in the car. We had 2 hours there and back, and I just was like, I don't really remember all the time doing everything. It was just that sweet conversation we had, and I think my kids too. Like, it was just really fun. So I think just having those pauses where you can, prepare for the busy time and just enjoy. So
That's awesome. One thing you mentioned to me, and I thought was a great idea, was your philosophy for like a one time a week thing where you invite everybody to do something, but there's like one thing that you do once a week with other people. Did you tell me that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I know. So, yeah, I know. We had a conversation. Yeah. So I guess just practically, like, ways to kind of have this play hard, rest hard, I guess, is I do, like in the past, I've done fun Fridays or whatnot, and I kind of actually just have it as a time, just me and my kids, or even as a family throughout the year. I feel like we just need a Saturday or Sunday here and there to just be together. And we're a very social family, and we love being around people, but I find myself, like, just really needing that time, just us. Because often if you go to the beach with friends or whatnot, you're just talking to the moms, which is great. That's like life, so life-giving. But I'm not playing with my kids. They're out playing, which they probably love, But this is the time when you can build a sandcastle with your kids and not look weird. If I'm like 55 out there, people might.
No, they'll know you're a grandma or
not.
something. I don't know.
I know, but just taking that time to be present with your kids. I think it's so good to do things with friends. We love that, but just intentionally. And so Fun Friday, I guarded that day. I was a no on that day, which was good. I would just tell people I'm busy, and it was great. But if you guys do something fun on Friday, you can still invite me. We'll move it to Fun Thursday.
So that's something you do as a family. You have one day out of the week where it's just family time, and you do whatever, go to the beach or
we'll make an adventure where we do something fun, or sometimes even just somebody needs new shoes. Let's make a fun day out of it. We'll go to a fun store, or I guess it's just intentional, and make it seem like it's fun to them. And
what are other tangible things that you like to put into your schedule?
Yeah, so one thing, you hit on it with the devotional time, but I feel like in summertime, it's such a good time. I try to make it a habit throughout the year, but I feel like me and school mornings are just not friends. But just having that Bible time, I find is so much more often in the summer. Being at breakfast together or lunch and breaking out, it's just part of our day, breaking out a Bible study or devotion, and my kids range in ages. My oldest like going to junior high, and then I have a 3-year-old. So we kind of mix it up for the different ages, and so that's really great. The weekly adventures, we talk about that, and also, or monthly. I know we're all on different schedules, and I remember when I had like a lot of younger kids, because for some of you, it's like summer feels just like January, and you're needing some structure. I had a friend that was very organized, maybe like you, but she put together this like summer story time thing, and we just all took turns going to people's houses, and somebody did story, somebody did songs, somebody did craft. It was a fun thing in the summer when my kids were young. And and then another thing is, I didn't do this last year, and I wished I did, is just make a fun list. I feel, at the start of summer, you think, I might have time to do this, and do a craft with that person, or have this friend over, and then it's the end of summer, and you're like, I didn't do that. So I feel like if I just have a list, kind of like, oh, hey, we did that. I have one kid I feel like I've been trying to play dolls with forever, and I don't think she plays dolls anymore. So maybe my younger daughter, put that on the list. So I just be intentional, so.
So summer is also a time where a lot of us travel and do like a family trip. We are very careful to not call it a vacation, because it's not a vacation when we're bringing everybody. It's just a trip. And it's great. There are great things about trips.
Laundry in another place.
Yeah, laundry in another place.
Or just wear dirty clothes. It's fine.
So what about creating moments with your family during those trips? How do you design discipleship moments with them when you're not in a regular rhythm like at home?
Yeah, I'm still holding out to call it vacation. But so I think from the get-go, me and my husband's marriage, we just made vacation it's like one of our cornerstones. We just, I think it's like just a time you can get away. I'm all about staycations, but I think there's something about being away from the home. And even if you feel like budget's a problem, get creative. You can camp in a field around here and find a place. I think our first vacation was one night at Refugio, but it was just getting out of your regular cycle and just being present somewhere else together, away from the to-do list or whatnot. And same thing, I feel like I sound really antisocial. We like to camp with friends. We camped. We lost our daughters last year. we were probably having great mom conversation, but we found them. It's good. But also camping or doing something, just your family. I think it's just, we actually just did it. Just my family went camping, and it was so nice to just, when there's no other options of who to play with, the kids play with you. So it was good. I think just being intentional with those things. So
I'm sensing intentional is our theme word today. Did you have any other wrapping up thoughts we didn't get to?
I did. I just had one more. I had a verse. Okay, so Psalms 23. This is kind of going back to rest and just how important it is. And I know it doesn't seem practical sometimes. You're like, you are not at my house with my kids. But it's more the mindset of just allowing that room. So Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside quiet waters and refreshes my soul. And I think I just love the term lie down. It's a biblical nap, I think. But also just refreshing your soul. And I think summer is an opportunity to take those moments where you're out of some of the regular routines and just, it's okay to have those quiet days. Your kids don't always have to be entertained, and just be refreshed. So,
yeah. So we're going to spend some time. I'm going to give you some prompts, and then you'll talk about it at your tables, like really briefly, maybe just a few minutes, and then we'll have each table share with the wider group what one of their ideas was. This will make sense as I continue to explain. So since we are in a lot of different seasons, you have spanning ages of your kids. Some of us have little babies here. Some of us have teenagers. We're going to kind of take each stage in life and think, what were the things that I did during the summer during those years, or that I've done during the summer during those years that didn't go well? And then what are some things that did go well? So as you think about your years with babies and toddlers, we're going to start there. What was something that you realized maybe a little too late that you didn't do, and it kind of caused your summer to be a little bit crazier? And so things not to do. And then what is one thing that you did really well that you thought was a good habit and rhythm for your family at that stage in life? So take a few minutes, like 5 minutes, to talk about those things at your table. And then in 5 minutes, I'll talk again, and we'll have one person share one of the positive things that you did, positive habit and rhythm. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm having a hard time articulating my thought. I thought it was gonna come out clearer than that. Like, did you sign your kids up for too many camps? Like maybe that's when they're a little bit older, and you don't wanna do that again, but instead you wanna do something else. Okay, so what happens when your kids are babies, toddlers, you're at home? What are some things that went well? What are some things that did not go well?
you have a question from Jenny.
Okay. Yeah, so right now we'll just do baby toddlers, and then in a few minutes we'll do the second round of like elementary school. Thank you for that clarifying question. Okay, you guys, you will have more time to chat at your tables too, so don't feel like this is the only time. But I do need you to stop talking and have just collaborative, right, for this moment, and then don't worry, you'll get more talk time. Okay, so for the baby and toddler stage, let's start with you guys over here. What's like one thing that you want to share with everybody that you felt like is a good thing in the baby toddler stage?
Have your kids naked outside.
Naked outside kids. The kids naked outside the whole summer. I think that's great. Okay. Okay, what about you guys?
You said that if you're going on a family vacation or like to visit other family or friends, to have like family rest time in your day to anchor you guys as a family.
Oh, that's a great idea. So when you're traveling or going on a trip with your family, to have one moment each day that's like a family rest time.
Sometimes that's like downloading and like talking about stuff. Sometimes it's actually resting, snacking,
Yeah,
just
just together as a family, kind of like regrouping. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, awesome. What about you guys?
We didn't do it for doing well. We said, even if it's your home all day, take a few minutes, a half an hour, go outside, sidewalk, chalk bubbles, swing, just get them out of the house and do something.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just have outside time. Every day have like a little bit of time outside, whether it's with bubbles or sidewalk chalk or something like that. Just get outside for a little bit each day. That's great. What about you guys?
Our group talked about having a consistent day where you have something to look forward to. Like we talked about going to the beach every Monday or the zoo every Monday or just something that your whole family looks forward to.
Yeah, so having one thing each week that you can kind of look forward to that's like rhythmic that you do every week. Beach on Monday or park on Tuesday. Go to the zoo. What? Yeah, the zoo pass. The zoo is awesome, especially with toddlers. Yes. Yeah, yeah, planning ahead. That's great. Thanks. Okay, what about you guys in the back table?
Well, it's been a while for all of us. The consensus was just sticking to your regular schedule. Nap times are still important and bedtime has to stay the same.
Yeah, okay.
Good advice the next day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I echo that because I'm a schedule person. Stick to some sort of schedule to help your kids make it through each day, each week, not being totally exhausted. It's a great idea. Thank you guys. What about you guys?
I think we just decided that vacation's going to be like a love thing. Yeah. Because it's like, it's so worth creating the memories, but it's a lot of work when they're little because you've got the pack and plane, swing, bottles, and all the equipment. But, you know, it changes as they get older because they're taking scooters and bikes and things like that. But the memories are really worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's worth taking those trips. I love camping so much. It's totally not a vacation, but I love it so much because of those family times you get with the kids and the time you get with friends too. Yeah. Okay. What about you guys?
Well, we've heard all the good things that happen when you have your family together, but remember, someone always gets sick. There's someone always going to get sick no matter what, whether it be a big thing, a little thing. Even Heidi Marie, when we came down to visit her grandma, she got sick, went to Twin Cities because she was like fever, the whole thing. I mean, that takes us back a couple of years, but just be ready, have that medical emergency kit, them big machines that work for your child, and just tuck it in that camp bag.
Disaster preparedness.
Be ready for it because it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Outside of that, life is good.
Yeah, yeah. So always be prepared and go into a camping trip expecting your son to jump off the cracks in the ground on his bike and do a face plant right here, 2 hours away from a hospital, and he still has a scar. Okay. Okay. Just, I mean, hypothetically. What about you guys? Yeah.
So I think the big thing that came up was the schedule, trying to set a schedule, but at the same time balancing it. Kind of alone time, family time, friend time, park time, outside time.
Okay, so like a balanced schedule, being intentional, not just with kid time, but also find alone time, that kind of thing too. Okay. Okay, cool. So see how this works? It's helpful, right? Different ages and stages. So now let's do the same thing. What are some things that have gone well for you when you've had elementary school kids, or maybe you do have elementary school kids, or maybe you think you will have elementary school kids if you don't already. Some things that you think will be good as a summer habit and rhythm, and some things that maybe from experience have not gone well. You can kind of chat about that with your tables for a few minutes too.
Okay, we'll get ready to share from the different tables here. How about we start on this side this time? Jenny, does anybody at your table want to share any school-age kids, elementary tricks of the trade?
We do not have anything quite conclusive yet. We all agreed that schedule was very helpful, like having structure in our, like building it into our day, where it's loose, but we still have playing parts.
Okay, so can you guys hear on this side that this was keeping a schedule in the summer and your days? So, okay, how about the table in the back?
We created like a family bucket list. So for the summer, before the summer started, we had several families who would say, "Okay, sit down as a family, this is how we did it." And everybody gets to chime in to see what are some bucket list activities. And you can plan your summer accordingly, like when you're going to do what. So that kind of thing. So having a schedule and then checking off the bucket list.
Yes, I love it. So those family bucket lists, I love lists. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I think it's just a good, and then everybody gets their voice in, which is great. So, okay, how about Rianne's table?
Be spontaneous and be flexible with your schedule. Like have a routine enough to where you get things done and everybody doesn't just become lazy, but be flexible with it. Like if your friends say, "Hey, let's go to the beach today," be like, "Yeah, let's go."
right, spontaneity. I'm wondering if you guys, who's the schedule table spontaneity? I feel like I'm right there too. I feel like I split plan spontaneity sometimes. I'm like, well, maybe we'll do, it's great. Okay, how about right up here?
Kind of with that mode, like anticipating needs, like if you're been going, like anticipate your kids are going to be tired and just plan the day in just the moment and like not waiting until everything erupts and oh my gosh, we're exhausted, now we have to say no to plans. Like looking forward and anticipating, or even if you have a day at home, anticipating that at some point they're going to get bored and you're going to be by yourself. Like it's kind of like looking ahead a little bit, but maintaining that flexibility.
Yeah. Agreed. I know. Sometimes my kids are like, Mom, can I go to bed at night? I'm like, okay, we've been doing too much. I'm sorry. Actually, that's like every week, I feel like. But getting back. I'm working on my nose. So, okay, how about Jessica? Your table there.
Well, we just talked about doing the VBS every week at different churches. And then summer camps, like having one child choose a summer camp for them, like a sport camp, but only one for the whole summer, not like multiple camps, because sometimes that can get overwhelming.
That's great. Okay, let's see what we got. Amber, do you guys want? Does your table have anything?
Okay, I would say the one positive thing we thought would be just kind of trying to do a morning devotional, even if it's not every morning,
In the jammies.
since they're not rushing off to school.
Yeah, morning devotional. Yeah. Those are great habits. I know. I'm using your lingo. It's great. Okay, how about back Naire? Your table have anything?
Yeah, we did. It was kind of like an intentional plan of activities for that age group, trying to keep up with them because they're so busy, but also being intentional kind of because the school year is so busy, doing stuff that you might not be able to do, plan stuff in the summer that they usually don't do during the year, like go to the theater, go to the beach, but also like life stuff. Like we were talking about life skills, learning to clean your room, or learning to clean the kitchen, stuff that they like because they're so busy, it kind of gets skipped over or aren't intentional in teaching them those kind of things that they kind of put one side.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like you have more
I like that.
patience in the summer. I love that video, the one where she made spaghetti.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old just said, Mom, can I make cheesecake? And I'm like, and I think I was going somewhere that night. I'm like, no, you cannot. I don't know how to make cheesecake. I buy it. But yeah, maybe summer. That's like I like the life skill thing. Okay, this table right here.
When your elementary school kid has, a few different like week-long camps during the summer, share the load with other moms so that you kind of can have continue your rhythm with younger kids at home too. But the kids get to have a fun play date after the camp too, and use your village.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I know. I feel like it's harder, I feel like with the different age, like I feel like my older kids have this need to have friends all the time. And my younger kid, I'm like, you probably need time at home, so.
Yeah, but especially when you have that age gap, like outsource your friends, and then also like as you bring the big kids over to your house, and yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah, all super great ideas. One of the things I will show you guys, I have a slide for, because this is like my area of where my kids are at right now. I have a daily summer checklist that we have done the last few summers, and it's been really helpful for the days that we don't have stuff going on. And this is on like it's just a normal size piece of paper that I print out, and I put inside a page protector, like a plastic, you know what I'm talking about? And then with a dry erase marker, they can check off their tasks that they did for the day. And I usually have some sort of incentive, like you can have an hour of screen time if all your chores are done. I have some kids that some kids love to read. 2 of my kids are just like readers. They love to read. And then 2 of them One especially is really struggling with reading. And so I have like a read for 20 minutes out, like, because you have to read for 20 minutes every day. And that's really hard to do for me in the summer because I just want to be like, we're going to go play. And I forget, oh, they really need to be reading. So that's like on my my daily summer checklist. And then sometimes I really have to make them go outside to play, which seems, some kids like to go outside just naturally. And I feel like there have just been seasons in our life where all my kids just want to stay inside and like be in their little cocoon in their room. And so I have to make them go outside. So what I like about this is I can change it every summer, do something a little different, make a different goal for them. And then even every day I can put different chores that they do. And if they have a good enough incentive, they'll be ready to go and do their chores so they can have their screen time. So use the screen time to your advantage. Okay, so we don't have time to do the middle school, high school discussion, but if you have a middle schooler or a high schooler and you'll have some table talk time now, you can use this time to discuss some good ideas for habits and rhythms with those age kiddos. So there are some more questions on the green half sheets on your tables. So I'll pray actually first, and then we'll have our table time. But I'll just pray and give these further conversations to the Lord. Lord, thank you for the kids that you have entrusted us with. God, we take this responsibility with seriousness, God, but also with a desire to design these moments where we can teach our kids more about you and we can teach them life skills that are important for them to learn. And we just want to be good moms. And so I just pray that you would honor that desire in our hearts. I pray that we would encourage one another with practical things that we can do to structure our time with our kids. God, I pray that you would give us perspective with the times that we have with our kids and give us an intentionality and a desire for those sweet times with them. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.